This is the Stop Playing Podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. What's going on, Sham?
Chilling in the room on a Monday.
Yeah. You know, I need to start saying some regular stuff because we were looking for an intro earlier and I keep figuring out that I keep saying random stuff every single time we come to the intro. So let's use that as the intro from now on. Boom.
What just happened?
See, we can use this.
I don't know.
That could be the intro. That could be the intro. We don't even have to say anything. We can say, look, let's just play that. Then we can go into whatever we want to talk about.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You're like, no.
I'm so confused.
And here we go. I'm so confused. Boom. Just like our listeners. That's perfect. How's your week been?
So look, it's been a couple weeks since we recorded.
Well, yeah, we took the holiday off. Did you have a good holiday?
Actually, yeah, I had an impromptu 4th of July party, which goes way against the CDC guidelines. No, it wasn't like that. No, I'm being facetious. But so my neighborhood does, like, I think I might have mentioned this on the last episode. My neighborhood rallied together and they did fireworks in a common area of our neighborhood. We have like a hill in the back of the neighborhood. And then they, got some people who knew what they were doing to do a fireworks show.
Yeah.
And so they had been talking about it for about a month. I told my sister about it. I'm like, hey, they're doing fireworks. We can come sit out on my deck, have some drinks, just watch them. She was like, sure, whatever. So I knew my sister was coming. So my mom says to me, your aunt's going to come over to visit me. So blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, that would be nice. Cause she hadn't been to the new house before. So I was like, oh, I'll give her a tour, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, she'll probably just be here for a little bit. She probably won't stay, blah, blah, blah. So my sister calls me back and says her mom wants to come. We have different moms, same dad. And I said, oh yeah, that'll, just the three of us, we can just sit out on the deck. No big deal. My aunt shows up with her whole family, her daughter, her son-in-law, and the grandchild.
Confirming her blackness if it was ever in question.
I love you, Aunt Debbie. She listens to the podcast.
Okay. That's all you talk about? Yes.
Yes.
She not only listens to the podcast, I'm in tune, lockstep with her politically.
Yes, you two are. You guys are very in tune. But we didn't know she was bringing everybody. So she brought everybody over. And then, of course, my sister and my stepmom were coming. And so and my mom, she, she's not feeling well. So she kind of stayed in her room. She didn't come out. So that was like 7 of us on the deck watching the fireworks. And so then I'm like, whoa, now I'm making cocktails. Now I'm trying to make some guac. And this was not what it was supposed to be. Yeah, at this point. And then so my neighbors were out on their deck and they were having a little get together and they gave us 2 whole fish, head still on, that they had cooked. Oh my God, it was so good.
I can never relate.
I know.
I'll just let that one go ahead and get right to the audience.
It was so good. But it was a good night. It was a good night.
That's what's up. And then we mentioned at the end of the last episode that your birthday passed as well. So happy belated.
Thank you. Belated. Consequently, that was not a good night, but
and we won't touch on it. We're moving on. Yeah, actually, I am aware of why that was not a good day, but all is well now, hopefully. That's good. You had a good holiday. And look, I believe in being transparent with our listeners and our family. So I'll say this. I've been railing about the pandemic and social distancing. And for the most part, I have been doing it completely. Over the weekend, I did an outside activity, and it was essentially a group activity. I won't go into a lot of it, but it was you and a friend of mine, a friend of ours, a friend of the show's. Don't share the same birthday, but it's around the same time. And his birthday was a day after the 4th, so that weekend. So he planned an activity, and I'm glad I went. That's just the long and short of it. I'm glad I went. everyone in the group was responsible. We wore masks. We social distanced, and there were a lot of special circumstances surrounding this for his birthday. So I'm just glad I did it. But I mean, Sham, you know me, I'm sitting in the house looking sideways and with my eyes wide open every day, like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Testing myself every day.
Like a hypochondriac.
Yes. Yes.
You start to have makeup symptoms in your head.
And he told me because he and I talked like real quick right before I came home for the night. He was like, look, I already know what time it is. I really appreciate you coming because I already know where your head is. That's what he was saying to me. He was like, so I'm gonna check in with you. You know, I know that there's been a lot to me that you came. And I was like, yeah, I know it did. You know we friends because you already know what time it is. But I'm glad. So anyway, what's going on?
Look, man, before we get into this, I have a really strong pet peeve. I didn't even realize it was a pet peeve until recently. So you know how they've been putting like bike lanes in streets now, specifically in DC. Y'all got bike lanes everywhere.
Yes.
Not so much on this end. They have more bus lanes than bike lanes. But, and this is because people who ride bikes press for these things. They wanted to be able to travel in the streets safely. I got it. But what makes me want to pluck each and every one of them is that if you want to be able to travel in the streets safely and have your bike lanes, then you got to follow the traffic laws just like the cars do. Example.
So
I'm
like
sitting I'm sitting at an intersection. My light is red. I am waiting for my light to turn green. My light turns green. And I proceed to go. And what happens? A bike rider just goes through the red light in the intersection from my right-hand side. Now, suppose I had hit the bike rider.
That's right.
Because at this point, I have the right of way. My light's green. I'm going straight ahead. But you decide to disobey the traffic light for the other part of the intersection that you're supposed to be stopping at. And then if I hit you, that makes me look crazy. And that hasn't become a pet peeve until now because I've seen it more times than I should. That was a personal example. But outside of that day, I had seen it other times. So look here, bike riders. If you want to have access to the roads and you want to be treated fairly and want to have your access to the street, I'm gonna need you to follow the traffic rules because you can't just be running red lights all willy-nilly.
Wow. I hope y'all heard that. And if they're bike riders, which I'm sure they are in the Stop Playing Podcast family, Sham, would you like to give them an address where they can send their feedback, or is no feedback required? They just need to hear you.
Oh, they need to just follow the traffic laws. But if you would like to email me, we do have a new email address. You can email me at sham@stopplayingpodcast.com.
Yes, we do. Sham, this is not on the outline. I didn't know where you were going with that. So listeners, obviously we have our meetings and I knew Sham was going to tell some story. However, I saw this yesterday or over the weekend. Pursuant to this story, did you know that they're going to shut down the entirety 6 blocks in front of, basically in Chinatown, so from drivers permanently, like shortly, probably within the next month or two? I saw it on the local news.
Wait, 7th Street?
7th Street, right in front of the Capital One Center, whatever you want to call it. So basically, non-DC listeners, we talked about this in the past. The basketball arena is right there in Chinatown in DC. It's downtown, very busy hub. Sham, I saw it, and I have corroborating witnesses to the story. They are absolutely the director, D-Dot, pursuant to what you were just talking about. He said, we need to make room for buses and bikes, and they're going to shut down 6 blocks of that. So you got to go around if you're trying to go down there. He said, we're going to widen the streets so restaurants can have more room. And it's not even related to the pandemic, even after that. Permanently shut down. Only buses and bikes can go down there for 6 blocks. What your thoughts on that? Because you and I both are very familiar with that area.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? I hadn't even thought of it until you start talking about that.
So, I got to tell you, as a someone who drives and has driven down that street multiple times, like I hate that little like 4 or 5 block radius, because specifically when you get to 8th Street, you can't turn right or left.
That's right. You can't turn, period.
No, you can't turn off the street. So you gotta go all the way down. So wow.
And people break that rule, and buses come through there a lot. So now they're going all the way wild with it. So
interesting. That's gonna make parking crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I think the city is skewing. There are a lot of bike riders, like you said, in the city. And man, they have a powerful lobby in DC because they are not playing.
Well,
that's a busy street
to follow the rules if they're not gonna be playing. If that's what you want, then you gotta follow the same rules that cars follow. Point blank, period.
Point blank, period. So y'all hear her. Well, speaking of rules, so actually I think, you know what's going to be interesting about this show, looking at these stories? I think you and I are going to have differing opinions on a few of these. So let's start with the first one. This is, I guess, a wrap up, right? We have Central Park Karen, aka Amy Cooper. She was formally, or at least they announced in New York that they're going to formally charge her with filing a false police report. So that is the story that came out earlier last week. We normally announce today. Today is the 13th of July, this Monday. So what are your thoughts on this, Sham? And then, we can discuss briefly to wrap up.
Apparently, Christian Cooper and I have the exact same thoughts,
you do. That's right.
This is just gone too far. I mean, look, first, let me just put this. She did it to herself. So let's be clear. However, I mean, the video in the park, I mean, we got it. It was horrible what she did. And I think, that shaming that she got, losing her job and all of that, she deserved. And then the New York Times article came out that kind of gave her the double hammer and just put all of her business out on the street.
Yes,
and shamed her even more. Like, I don't know how much more shame this woman could get from all of the public attention, which she deserved, the negative attention. But at this point, I feel like now arresting her or charging her for the false report is just laying it on way too thick. Now, we have talked about in the past that there should be consequences for calling the police and creating false reports. I agree that there should be consequences. But in this instance, I think I would agree with you that she should be charged if all of the other stuff, like if the New York Times thing didn't happen with the accountant and the Decide baby and all that stuff, I would say, yeah, send her ass to jail. But that alone, all of that was like enough for me.
Yes. All right. So look, we fundamentally disagree on whether it's enough or not, but we agree on most of the major points. I agree on most of everything you said. Where I draw the separation is what you have to look at when you look at a story like this, or at least what I look at, is there's a difference between what is quote unquote enough and good for Amy Cooper and what is enough and good for this issue. And like you said, and thank you for bringing it up, on Call the Police, which is one of, I think, both of our favorite episodes where we talked a lot about this, we said, and I think a lot of Black people have been saying, there has to be some kind of consequences for these types of actions. Now, if you're Amy Cooper, you're like, man, I have suffered some severe consequences already. And I get that. But none of those have been legal or official. Official, yes, her job, she got fired, but none of those have been legal. I think I even, when we were talking about this, kind of, we had a little, discussion, for lack of a better word, on line, and basically I was like, look, what happened to her? The New York Times thing, while hilarious to us and great fodder for our podcast here, that was unfortunate, but that was an extra thing. The legal system can't control that. We can't control that. She certainly couldn't. Christian Cooper, good for him. But this is bigger than even him. This is not about oh, well, everybody that's called Christian Cooper that goes into a park that is a bird watcher got the cops called on him. He got the cops called on him because he's black. And so, and whatever, like everything that happened was because he's black. And so that is great. And he sounds like a great guy that he can, you know, move on and forgive her. And I probably would on a personal level too. Like, look, I don't want to see this woman suffer. The only thing I'll say at the end of this is, look, I just want her charged. I mean, consequence-wise, they can charge her with a police report and charge her a fine and be like, look, you've been through enough. Pay $1,000.
But you want it on the books.
I want it on the books.
You want it on the books.
I want it on the books. I want it on your record. Now, if you can, you know, maybe get a weekend in jail real quick to think about it. I'm not going to cry too many tears about that either. But beyond that, no, I think it will be extra. Yeah, the punishment is where I think you and I both agree. This woman has been punished severely. She's been humiliated. So, no, I don't need to see, I'm not a glutton for punishment on that. But, yeah, we need things on the books. We need things documented. If nothing else, maybe it's a deterrent, maybe it isn't. I mean, you would think having your whole life exposed, because she's not the first person that's happened to. Everybody gets their name put out there, and a lot of them get fired, but that doesn't stop the Karens from doing this. So you would think hopefully maybe getting something on the books might be a deterrent, but we'll see. But that's a step forward. So the only regret I have is that it didn't happen sooner. I think you and I both can agree. After all this other stuff has happened, it's like, well, man, okay, what took so long? I mean, you had the video.
And that was legitimately, that was going to be my closing point. If it would have happened immediately after, or even a few days after, and they decided to charge her, I would be like, oh yes, finally, you know. But because it's taken weeks, it's like, you know. But again, it like you pretty much just surmised, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but I think we both will agree. I don't need this form of suffering. And I agree with you on that. All jokes aside, yeah, I just want to seem like a hard ass. You know, I'm not softy really. At the end of it, you know this.
You're a legit savage. Stop it.
Like, you want to go on that next story?
Oh, Minneapolis.
Ground zero of a lot of the racial protests.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, really this was more, it wasn't a story. It's an op-ed from Betsy Hodges, who is the former mayor of Minneapolis. So she certainly is not in office now, and of course was not a couple weeks ago. I forget the young man's name. He's a young guy, the mayor of Minneapolis now, really young guy. Like when you see him, he looks like fresh out of college almost. But anyway, she wrote an editorial in the New York Times, posted it on July the 9th. And basically the title of this is, as mayor of Minneapolis, I saw how white liberals block change. And really, this is more of just a mention on the podcast, because I really, 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 I don't care who you are in our family, liberal, conservative, black, white. I sat here and I said, you know, I don't want to sit here and explain to white people racism and stuff like that. No, I don't. But this article was spectacular. And I want y'all to go and do some research and just look it up and read it. Because it really, really goes to show not just how people are racist in your face and, you know, stop change, but people, we talk about allies. Mm-hmm. She was talking about the politics of cities, gentrification. Really what she was talking about was, you know, the spot that a lot of, especially white liberals, put the police in cities in, where, oh, well, we want to help black people, but what we really need to make sure is that the police are policing the neighborhoods that are black so that they can keep the crime out of our neighborhoods. And that is a very, very reductive way of putting this article. But she really laid it out there. And she said, if you want change, and we knew this, but she was like, you want change, get some of those allies who really claim to be allies to look in their heart and understand that this isn't just, you're going to go march downtown, you're going to go, you know, criticize the police department, but then you go back to your nice, comfortable life where, you know, the issues that plague a city and minorities and black people and what have you don't affect you. You can't have both. So it's a very good article. Extremely good article.
She says that Minnesota historically has some of the worst racial disparities in the country.
Mm-hmm. And the thing I liked about it, she was the mayor. She was like, look, there was stuff I tried to do. There was stuff I should have tried to do and I didn't. She owned it. She wasn't like running away from it.
Oh, she wasn't just the mayor. I mean, she was the mayor for 4 years, but she was on the city council from like 2006 to 2014. So she was knee deep into the politics of Minneapolis.
Knee deep. That's right. Excellent point. She didn't just show up. She gave her years of experience of dealing with these issues and wrote it. And I think it was just real poignant, especially in that city, because that's ground zero of all of this. Mm-hmm. That's what happened in Georgetown happened. So good article. Now let's move to one you sent me. This is fun, man. It's fun, but it reflects a lot of the issues we've been talking about. But go ahead and take this.
It's exactly who we are right now as Americans. Not you and I, but
right.
Our fellow Americans. This is exactly who we are right now, acting like we are above the coronavirus. So 5 Americans, they flew by private jet to Italy. Mm-hmm. And now I think we might have mentioned it briefly, but the EU and Canada has been like, no, y'all ain't coming up in here. If you are from the United States, you're not coming. So these land in Italy. And they thought they was slick too, because they thought it was jet. And Italy was like, hell nah, you better take your ass back to America.
Man, when you said this, I was like, what? They cold carried them on the tarmac, basically. Like, what are y'all doing here?
Like, y'all didn't catch the memo? Y'all didn't read the email?
Yes. Like, don't even step foot off that plane. Like, turn around. I'm surprised they were even allowed to land.
They flew for 15 hours.
I mean, what do y'all think this is? The EU said, look, man, we're thinking about, when they said they were thinking about it, that's when you should have known it was trouble. Like, America, y'all a disgrace. Like, we should be embarrassed. We're not embarrassed enough still, right now.
But it's just what I was saying. We in the United States, people feel like they are above it all. Like, just the simple idea that they have to wear a mask, they're out there protesting. So these fools decide they just gonna get on a whole plane and just disregard the fact that the EU is like, no, you ain't coming here.
Yeah, I wish I could have been on that plane when they really got the news that they were for real not getting off that plane and turn around.
But what's crazy is they had people from the UK, Italy, and New Zealand on the flight, but they weren't even let in because they were like, nah.
We don't like who you hanging with. It's like a neighborhood. Like, y'all all right? Well, we don't. That person, that guy's trouble. So all of y'all, get out of my store. Like, I mean, I know Cuts from New Zealand was like, come on, man, for real. Like, we done got this virus under control. Like, completely under control.
Yeah, but what about that? You gonna go back to New Zealand and take the virus back there with you?
I was just about to say, those people, that's a warning shot from Italy. Homeboy from New Zealand better not even utter the fact that he was on a plane with Americans, because they are not playing with it down there. They're going to be like, oh, okay, well then just go ahead and stay in America because we're not letting you back.
There was one that was from Italy and they wouldn't even let him in.
Yeah, hey man, you rolled the dice. Yeah, you can't come back, man. Yeah, you knew who you were hanging with. You cannot bring this back in our country. Look, I completely applaud this move. I completely applaud it because Americans for so long, for issues unrelated to the virus, have been acting like everybody wants to come here. And, oh yeah, we had the nerve to rescind the the H-1 visa, whatever the foreign visas are. If the visas can't go back to school, we didn't even put this on the outline, but it's perfectly the story. How our excellent administration has rescinded the visas for students.
Oh yeah, in universities, colleges, universities, exactly. And when schools start, they gotta go.
Exactly. If the college does not allow in-person learning, those students have to get. So we have the nerve to be trying to kick people out. we need to read this story more because people don't want to come here and they're not letting us in. Yeah, you can't quit a job you've been fired from. That's what we're doing right now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, that's to your point, that is amongst other stories we talk about all the time, perfect encapsulation of our thought process about this virus. It's ridiculous.
That's America.
Yeah. That's America. Yeah. And then getting everybody else in trouble. So now they looking at the Americans like, we can't go home either.
What I read, the Italian dude wasn't even let in. I was like, dang.
Yeah, guess we gotta go back to New York. And then look, New York don't want you. So it's like, look, watch out, all y'all just go to Florida.
Right. Florida takes everybody, apparently.
Yeah. Florida, Texas, y'all look good down there.
15,000 new cases on Sunday. What the hell?
Yep. And I mean, that'll go into what we're talking about. So real quick here, and really we could just kind of put everybody in the testing phase. I read a story in the DCist, which I've been quoting more and more. I quoted it a couple shows ago.
Oh, you love the DCist.
Man, they don't play at all. And basically they centered their stories around here, but it's so applicable to everywhere else. I hope y'all hear Monday Night Lights. Yeah. Man, I saw the light by the window. Good gracious. Anyway, so basically the crux of the story is that they've done some research over the past couple weeks and interviewed a lot of people who have been tested specifically just within DC. And outside of just the normal margin of error, there are multiple tests getting lost, multiple tests getting damaged for COVID-19, people not getting results. These are stories you hear all across the country, but DC statistically, sort of like Maryland, Virginia, well, I would say Maryland, DC and Maryland. Virginia's kind of backslid a little bit.
DC and Maryland.
Maryland. They've been touted as being in front of the curve here on the virus. And DC specifically, Mayor Bowser has kind of pushed through these phases, phase 2, phase 3. I mean, you and I talked about it. You're phase Sham, and I might as well be phase Shaka. I mean, whatever, we're not doing this. But these are statistics based on testing that they're using to justify opening up. And really the crux of the article was, how can you trust the statistics when people are not getting the test back and the tests are inaccurate? Tests are being destroyed, not like on purpose, but just being mishandled, destroyed by heat and stuff like that. And that article, man, I read that and was like, oh, okay, well, can't really trust any data out of that. And they were interviewing people who've been tested a month ago, hadn't gotten it back. People who, called 2, 3, 4 times, same number for a test, hadn't gotten it. People's names misspelled, so they didn't get their results in the mail or email like they were supposed to. All kinds of stuff. And it wasn't just anecdotal stuff. It was massive errors.
Shoot, I'm going to have to get me a home test and test myself. Shoot.
Pretty much. Or you got to really, I mean, the article said you got to get a private test, which in a lot of places, somebody in the article said they paid $300 for it. She was like a lawyer. She was like, yeah, I could do that. But a lot of people can't do that. They can't pay $300.
I feel like my health insurance should pay for that.
Yeah, you would think so. But read an article today, 5 million people lost health insurance because they lost a job from the virus. So we're kind of going backwards in that too. No. But yeah. So it's all of this is happening as we're seeing numbers surge. So and I guess we'll kind of switch one because the next story, I think the one that we will switch is more in tune with this. So DC, like everyone else, it's the middle of July. Some places start school in late August. DC really starts in September. But you have to have this conversation now. Really, you should have had it by now about what you're going to do for the fall, since school really basically let out everywhere late February, early March, mid-March. So Sham, I mean, have you seen, I don't know what Maryland has done. Have you heard anything about what Maryland is doing about schools?
I mean, to be honest, I really don't know. I think some schools, I think it's still pretty much up in the air. And I've seen a lot of posts about specifically secondary, elementary and secondary, not colleges, but like regular school. That people are kind of like flipping out because a lot of schools are planning to reopen. And I saw a meme earlier that was like, you know, y'all won't let kids into school if they haven't had basic vaccinations like chickenpox, like all these vaccinations that kids have to have growing up to go into school. But y'all gonna let all these kids go back to school with a known virus that'll kill you without vaccinations. Like, how backwards is that?
You posted that on our page, correct? Yes. So make sure you come visit us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and y'all about to get a blitzkrieg of all of our little posts. But anyway, yes, you posted that, and that was great. But in also, look, Virginia, I know this for a fact because my job is down there, so a lot of my coworkers are there. They sent out a poll, and I know a lot of places did this, a lot of states. They sent out a survey to the parents asking what they wanted to happen. And the options were different in different states, but for the most part, it was like, do you want 100% learning? Do you want like half and half? Where you come in Monday and Tuesday, the kids come in Monday and Tuesday, or Tuesday and Thursday or something? Or do you want, like you were just saying, different tiers of students coming in at different days? So maybe elementary and secondary or high school come in, you know, Tuesday and Thursday, but then middle school come in Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Oh, so okay. I kind of remember someone was saying last week at my job, and I'm glad that you brought that up, that they said that they're for high school are thinking about only letting ninth graders go to school, and 10th, 11th, and 12th graders will be at home. Okay. So a little variation. Yeah, every state is like kind of experimenting, like what's the right move. So yeah, that's a very interesting one. I hadn't even really heard that. This debate obviously is going on all across the country. So now you have teachers weighing in, and rightfully so, because they're like, wait a minute. Even in all these statistics that are talking about, first of all, the kids are going to spread it like wildfire, no matter what you do, if you open the school. Yeah, the data, at least the initial data that we have, shows that young people, people that young, kids, the mortality rate is extremely, extremely low. Obviously, you don't want any kids dying, so that's even another thing in and of itself. But fine. But the teachers are like, but we're going to get it. We're going to get it from them. And we have kids, and we have parents, and we have what have you. So what's going to happen there? So like teachers unions and stuff like that have been coming out. So this has just been a big subject of debate all week. So Sham, yesterday was Sunday, and I watched Meet the Press, and I watched State of the Union. State of the Union is CNN's version of Meet the Press. Usually has Jake Tapper. He was off for the week. They had Dana Bash on there. And Sham, when I tell you Dana Bash, she can run Meet the Press just like Jake Tapper can. If he don't want to do it, let her do it. Because they had Betsy DeVos, who we talked about. Oh, my God. This woman gets on there, the Secretary of Education, probably one of the most incompetent people to ever hold a cabinet position ever in history. And Dana Bash Sham, she wasn't even trying to destroy it. She was just asking a basic question. She kept it cool the whole time, but she would not let that woman get out of it. She was like, look, I just got a basic question. Are you going to follow the CDC guidelines? Like, do you even believe in them? What's the protocol for if teachers get sick? I mean, she just asking basic questions. These are things that people need to know.
Yeah. Here comes Betsy DeVos. We're on the same page in the sense that schools need to open. She was like, okay, I understand that. Schools need to open, but like once they start opening and people start getting sick, what are you going to do? What's the protocol for substitute teachers? How are you going to space the kids out? Then she named a statistic from Virginia, Fairfax, which is right outside DC, one of the best school systems in the country, public school systems. And their superintendent said, right now, we have the size of, if you kind of combine all our schools together, a Pentagon-sized school system. And the Pentagon is really big for everybody who doesn't know that. He said, if we did the social distancing measures that the CDC recommends and try to get everybody into school, we would have to have 6 Pentagon-sized like complexes to house that. He was like, that's how it would have to be. that's not feasible. So we're doing remote learning, basically. So she cited that. And she was like, so, Ms. Secretary, what do you have to say about that? And she was like, all I know is people have to go back to school. Sham, Dana Bash is my hero because she interviewed this woman for a straight 20 minutes. I want to throw my remote at the TV. And then at the end, she asked them one last question, like, look, yes or no, should we reopen? And the woman started talking. Dana Bash started laughing and said, okay, you haven't answered any of my questions. Thanks for coming on. She said just like that. You haven't answered any of my questions, but thanks for coming on. Basically, like, I'm going to pray for you, but get the hell off my show. But it's, we can laugh about it, but if you had a kid that was about to go to school, or even considering putting your child back in school in the fall, I would be scared to death. You can't, and I know it puts a lot of parents in a lot of horrible positions because they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. A lot of them are out of work, or even if you are working, it's just really, really difficult. But man, this problem is not going away.
Get them homeschool packets ready.
Yeah. And remote learner. Definitely.
I commend anybody who has children, right? Like, I cannot imagine having a child right now at any age, of a child of any age right now. But I'm sure most of the states, well, as you were talking, I started to look up what Maryland is doing. They're going to do it by county. Some counties have decided on what they're going to do and some have not. Baltimore City is like, this is what we're doing. But there's still other counties in the state that are trying to decide. So, again, so it just kind of confirms that what I said earlier, that it's still up in the air.
Yeah, it is up in the air. And I think the day-to-day decisions are made by the counties. The scary part is once you start talking about the purse strings for schools, the teachers and all that and the unions can buck the system if they want, but the governor really, even the federal government, I mean, Betsy DeVos, she's Secretary of Education. She's an idiot. So it is what it is. But she doesn't really have a lot of impact on the day-to-day operations. The governor does, though, because he and the House control the budget, and that filters down to the counties. Yeah. So if you have a good governor like Maryland, the counties can do different things, but in general, they kind of know they got the right person looking out for them.
He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to open schools at all. But he knows that you can't keep them home forever, which is sad. But I mean,
Yeah. Quick note about him. He actually was also on Sunday Morning yesterday, Sham. He talking about running for press, and we had talked about that before. Your thoughts?
I think his the way he's handled this COVID response has shown me that he can be a good leader. Now, we would have to know what his policies as president would be, but yeah.
But he was doing some good talking on there. He was like,
he's a Republican that didn't vote for Trump. He wrote in his father's name.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk. Yeah, I didn't know that until he said it yesterday. And look, I'm glad he didn't vote for Trump, but come on, Slim. Like, I mean, I could write my mother in for president, but that's not going to help anything.
Well, obviously he didn't like Hillary either. So, I mean.
Oh, he said that. And he also said that, so they asked him, they said, so this time around, what do you think? He was like, I kind of feel like I'm in the same position as I was last time. Yep. So basically he's saying like he's going to do it again.
I don't think he will, though.
Yeah, that's not helpful. I was like, that's a bad mark against Hulk Hogan, man. You got to vote somebody else in. No, vote people who are actually running. Stop.
Did you just call him Hulk Hogan?
Yes, I called him Hulk Hogan. Yes. He's not getting called Governor Hogan again until he tells me he's voting for somebody serious for president. Look, next story. Now I'm just playing. Hulk Hogan is an endearing term. I like Governor Hogan.
So are you going to boycott Larry Hogan if he does it?
I'm not boycotting Larry Hogan, but let's talk about another boycott that is dear to a lot of the Stop Playing podcasts who wants to season their food or do anything with some food. So Sharon, what you got for us? You want to take this away?
If you want to use some adobo and sazon, you will not be using it from GOYA because GOYA has been canceled. And look,
cancel culture. Yeah.
Yo, over the weekend, like I had no clue what was going on because I was like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden I just started seeing like memes pop up in my Instagram. I'm like, what did GOYA do?
Yeah.
So then I had to go and read, find an article, and basically, to sum it up, the CEO of GOYA supports Donald Trump, thinks he's a great man. I mean, point blank, period. There's nothing much else you could say about it. And he doubled down. Like we were talking about this earlier, and you were like, well, we can't use GOYA until he apologizes. And I'm like, I don't think he's going to apologize. And to be quite frank and seriously, he doesn't have to. I mean, having a political affiliation and supporting a political candidate is well within our right. And he has a right to do that. He's not done anything illegal or anything like bad in the real sense of the word. He just supports a political candidate, and he's allowed to do that, and he shouldn't have to apologize for it. However, people can choose also what to buy and what not to buy. And if folks don't want to buy GOYA anymore because of that, then that's fine. But I don't believe that he should have to apologize to anybody, because that's his political affiliation.
Yeah. Now I'm really basically in lockstep with you. This is another one of those stories where if it had just stopped at a certain place, I would have been with him. It's to kind of the few little extras that he did that I was like, okay. So look, just to get a little bit more into it, this stemmed from an appearance that he made with Donald Trump. So the CEO of GOYA's name is, and I'm going to mispronounce this, but it's Robert Unyanye. Okay, I'm almost positive I'm mispronouncing that, but it's UNANUE is his name. He appeared at a forum with President Trump, 45. And really, so here's where I don't have a problem with what he did. The forum was celebrating a donation. So he's part of a council that 45 started. I forget the name of it, but it's like the Hispanic Heritage Council or something like that.
Yeah, he was on like stage with them, like sitting there with a group of other people.
So the purpose of the event was this council is to uplift Hispanic families. Really, his presence there was to honor the fact that he's given millions of dollars, and GOYA has donated millions of dollars worth of food to poor, probably, I guess, primarily Hispanic families, so they can eat or what have you. And look, I'm simplifying it, but the point is, this is an ongoing charitable effort. So he was at this function at the White House or wherever it was, and he praised 45 and said that we were blessed to have him as a leader. That's a little extreme.
Yeah, I mean, he likes him.
Yeah, the language is a little extreme. Even if you support him, the language is a little extreme.
He was slurping him.
Yeah, it was slurp. So I get it. It would be disgusting to watch. Like, what are you doing? Now, I do like one thing he said. He said, look, I've been doing stuff like this since Obama was in office. President Obama called me. I don't think this council, because 45 formed this specific council. But the point being, he was like, President Obama called me to do some initiatives, same type of stuff. I came up here, I praised him. He was like, so really, I'm just mad that this is his words, but I'm simplifying. But he was like, why can't I praise Trump like I praise Obama? Well, Obama's better than Trump, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean, aside from the obvious.
Right. The point being that the reason he was there, I don't have a problem with. If the organization exists and he's doing this for Hispanic people, then, I mean, the president's the president. If they're going to call you there to have the function, that's fine. You don't have to sit there and slurp them. You can just be like, look, I'm glad we're able to get this event done or whatever, or this cause. And that's it. Then he goes on Fox and Friends and he continues to double down and triple down. And then he starts talking about, and Sham, this is what you and I talk about all the time. I feel like my First Amendment rights have been suppressed. This boycott is suppressing my right to free speech. Sham, you just said it. Just like you have the right to sit there and slurp 45, Mr. Nanye, people have the right not to buy your product after that. You're not getting put in jail by the public. What are you talking about free speech? And then here comes Ted Cruz, who, I mean, is about as Hispanic as I am. Like, he just likes to claim it because he speaks Spanish. His last name is Cruz, but he's basically white bread that has completely sold out most of his Hispanic roots or causes. And he's like, yeah, this boycott GOYA thing is a bad idea. And where's his free speech and protect his free speech? Champ, Ted Cruz is a constitutional scholar. You know how we sit here and talk about how the founding fathers would act? He's supposed to study stuff like that. Like, you're a constitutional lawyer, Slim. So you know for a fact that not one of this man's free speech rights have been suppressed. And that's the word that he used that you use, Ted Cruz. Suppressed. If it was suppressed, he'd be sitting in somebody's jail. People are not buying his product.
If his free speech was being suppressed, he'd be sitting somewhere with a muzzle.
Exactly. Or he'd be executed. This is so stupid when they say that. It's like, look, man, to your point, people want to get mad at him, and not buy his product because they should kind of figure out what they're mad at. Don't be mad at the fact that he's supporting. Well, you can be mad at it, but the point is, people, like you said, when we talk about Wendy's, people can support who they want to support. You can't, drown out every voice in the room. But when he gets on there and talking about his rights to suppress, that's when. And I think for Hispanics too, Latinx, and you and I both are coming to grips. I feel like that word came out of nowhere, but it's been around apparently for years. Latinx people, I do understand what they're talking about when they're saying, look, 45, I mean, you want to talk about black people, racism, all that. He's been racist for years and we knew it. But he started his whole little campaign talking about them and immigration and the wall and the kids at the border. I don't see how, as a Hispanic person, can support him. But,
I mean, you be surprised. I mean, well, you wouldn't be surprised. And I think we've talked about this before, how an overwhelming majority of the Latinx community supports Republican candidates for whatever reason. And it may come back to the fact that a lot of them are Catholic and they have traditional values. But still, like, you think black people are like, just kind of like hell with Republicans. Latinx people should be feeling worse. Specifically with this administration, particularly.
I agree. I'll throw one breadcrumb out there. I think in the past, Republican administrations have been very good about selling the message, especially for Latinx people who are from different countries and stuff, that they will go toppling the sort of repressive regimes in their home country. Now, the Republican governments here had their own reasons for doing that. So, for example, if you talk about like Cuba and Miami and Castro, they're fighting communism, or even Venezuela or Iran-Contra and stuff like that.
Cubans love the Republican Party.
Exactly. And even if you start talking to other people, when you start talking about their countries and Iran-Contra and, Venezuela and stuff like that, Republicans will spin it like, oh, we're fighting for your freedom. No, you're just fighting for like geopolitical position against Russia and stuff. Like, that's what you're doing. But whatever. So that's another conversation for another day. But this GOYA thing, AOC has weighed in. She's canceling it. Yeah, she's canceling it.
There was a lot of black people I saw that was canceling it. I was like, whoa, look at y'all joining the fight.
Yeah, and clarification, guys, clarification. I was joking with Shan when I told her she can't buy no more until he apologized, because I think that's funny. Because Shan, why did I make that joke? Because you got some GOYA, right? But you got it a long time ago.
I have some adobo in my cabinet right now. And I was talking to my coworker today. She was like, nope, can't use it. Gotta throw it away. I said, why? It don't even expire until 2022. Why am I gonna throw away this adobo? And I bought it last year. They done already got my money. Why don't we just go throw my money in the trash?
Nice. Yeah, so make it last until you apologize, okay? Yeah, but you're good though. You bought it before. I
bought that joint last year. I ain't know it lasted 4 years or 3 years.
A lot of people use GOYA, man. A lot of people use it.
Yeah.
But, look, round robin stuff. So we'll see what happens with this GOYA thing. I mean, until the next cancel culture thing.
Right now, Badia is out here winning because everybody buying Badia adobo and sazon.
Yeah, they're like, look, man, he should have said that. Come buy a product.
My dear out here winning.
Out here
Sold out
winning.
everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go to Shoppers right now and see what they need to be running an ad campaign, to be honest with you. You're right.
Badia?
Yeah. Yep. Hey, look, we still for the culture. Come by us. Round robin or last few things. So we talked a little bit about 45 and just he's out here. Look, he's out here lying left and right. Hey, I didn't put this on Outline Share because it just happened today. 45 out here attacking Uncle Tony. Like straight up attacking him.
Yeah, he basically kind of like extricated him from the whole briefing situation. Like we don't want to hear from you no more because you too real.
So Uncle Tony's gone. As market research, as opposing market research, I have a riddle for you, Shane. What do you get when you cross an 80s talk show host with Twitter? You get
Chuck Woolery.
You close. You get Chuck Woolery, the newly installed authority on fighting the coronavirus, as said by our president. So we
gonna have Uncle Chuck now.
Yeah, so Uncle Chuck go good up there apparently and host the briefings because Chuck Woolery, last known for what was the dating game or what was it? Not the dating game. Love Connection.
Mm-hmm.
Last known for Love Connection. Writes on Twitter that everybody's lying. And Sham, his tweet sounded like it looked like it was written by 45 himself. He was like, everybody's lying. The CDC, the media, Democrats, everybody, and I'm sick of it. So then 45 comes and retweets that. And so now basically everybody's like, so wait, when did Chuck Woolery become the authority on statistical data about the coronavirus? And I posted this earlier and I stand by it. Chuck Woolery, next thing I need to hear from you is who's behind door number one? If you can't answer me that, don't tell me nothing about the coronavirus. All right, you have no credibility. So that's who 45's listening to. Fauci's out of the picture.
I'm sure he's glad.
Oh, Sam, the reason we love Uncle Tony is because there were quote unquote reports that he and 45 weren't speaking to each other over the weekend. My man came right out on another interview today. It was like, all I'm saying is we're not prepared. We haven't been doing enough. Like somebody else interviewed him and he will not be quiet. That's why I like him.
And I said this before. He don't need those press briefings. People want to hear from him. He was getting interviews from everywhere else anyway. So it doesn't like it. Why waste his time standing up there next to a buffoon when all people got to do is zoom him in via satellite? He good.
Exactly. So basically, he's not tripping on that. So if anything, we're going to see more Uncle Tony, unfettered Uncle Tony. So I can't wait for that.
Wait, this quote is great. This quote is so great. I hate it. Oh my God. Tony Fauci is a nice guy, but he's been wrong a lot. Chuck has made thousands of love connections that turned out 100% right.
That's a serious tweet from 45? That's a serious tweet?
That is a Trump quote.
Oh my God. I hate him.
I hate it. Why is our president saying that scientists from NIH is not credible, but fucking Chuck Woolery is? I can't.
A dude who hasn't hosted a show in 20, 30 years. Oh my God. Anyway. All right, so a couple other little wrap-ups because we can't 45 is just crazy. Roger Stone, his boy who we talked about, he completely commuted his sentence. It's not a full pardon. He's technically still a felon, but we saw this coming. Flynn is out. Roger Stone is out. Manafort's out. All his boys he gonna get all his boys out, and just in case this election goes south. This was completely corrupt. Like everybody who has seen it is like, yo, this is just in your face corruption. This dude lied to the FBI, everybody, a few times, just like Flynn. But this time he got convicted. Flynn didn't even go to trial. This guy got convicted and basically was about to report for his sentence and was like, no, let's just commute a sentence. He's not going to jail. That's it. Any thoughts on that? Because that's point blank. Point blank. Oh, I was like, what can you say?
I'm still laughing at this.
You still laughing about it. You still laughing at the quote. That's ridiculous. You still laughing at how many love connections that man been making?
He's 100% right.
100% right on Love Connection, which is a lie, by the way.
The whole lie.
I watched Love Connection. That's not true. It's not true. I think we got a front runner for the title.
Oh, that was the best. Oh, it's the best.
I think we have an early. I think we have an early front runner for the title. This episode. I was trying to loop something about Chuck Woolery into the title, though. I really was.
That just made my whole life.
Oh yeah, nah, he's Chuck.
Oh god,
Chuck Woolery. And Chuck Woolery was mad. That was an angry tweet. That was an angry tweet from old Chuck, man.
Oh man.
But unless you got anything else, because you got to giggles on politics for once.
That's
all political news we got for tape. We ready to move?
Yeah, let's get into this entertainment.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff for entertainment.
All right, so
I hope you bring your laughter for this one, because
man, this is come on.
I might have some heat for this.
Carrie Elways, Robin Wright, those are the stars of The Princess Bride. Princess Bride is one of them cult classics that everybody knows. Well, I don't know if everybody, but I mean, our era has at least seen it twice.
Yes.
So they've decided that they're going to do a reboot with, oh my God. Let me get myself together.
Yeah.
Look, I've been laughing so hard I forgot the girl name. What the...
Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner.
Lady Sansa.
Queen Sansa. Queen Sansa.
Look, man,
Queen of the North.
I feel like we've been kind of gentle. I've been trying to be. So look, she was on Game of Thrones. Her character, she kind of, she grew up on the show. Fine. We danced around a little bit, but the only thing we really seen her in outside of that was talk about Sansa. Mm-hmm. Outside of that was the X-Men stuff, which the X-Men stuff that she's been in, those movies were bad. So people couldn't figure out whether she was bad in them or those were just bad movies or a combination of both. But in general, the acting reviews for her, she's still very young. So it can be harsh. 20s. I mean, she's like 22, maybe 23.
Yeah,
at most.
Dakota Fanning was 10, and folks was trying to say she deserved the Oscar. So let's not do that.
That's true. That's true. And look, Maisie Williams, Arya, they the same age, and I think most people would agree she's a better actress. But either way, yeah, I don't think she can carry this. This is not a good look for her.
Look,
Robin Wright is an excellent actress.
I just want Hollywood to stop trying to force her down our throat. Like, I feel like this is Craig Robinson all over again. Like, I feel like Hollywood...
Ooh, harsh take on Craig Robinson.
I feel like this is Hollywood trying to force somebody to be great. Like, yes, it's a harsh take on Craig Robinson. Now, we haven't gone down this rabbit hole before, but I feel like he's been like the kind of token black dude in a lot of these white crew films. They just add Craig Robinson and stir. But bro, you're not funny.
Oh.
Like I can't. Like
Man.
I feel like this is what they're doing with Sophie Turner. Like
let's put a pin in the Craig Robinson while I bake on that one. Yeah.
Stop trying to make fetch happen, to quote Mean Girls. And I feel like this is what they're trying to do.
Now, have we gotten any intel on who played Craig Elwes' character?
Didn't they say it was going to be her husband?
Oh my God, that's right, Jonas. That's right. Oh yeah, this is a complete. This
disaster.
is, you know what this is? This is Geely waiting to happen. When you have a couple.
Geely.
Yeah.
Wow, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez.
That's right. When you have a couple who are so into it that they think is a good idea to appear on film together, and this is already a film that's going to be questioned, younger viewers, everybody, I would say 30 and below, just one day it's a pandemic. When you don't have anything to do, especially curl up with somebody you like and watch Jilly. And then be like, look, just because we like each other doesn't mean we should work together.
This is also why Eyes Wide Shut failed. Like
Tom and Nicole.
Yes, they really thought that this was going to be like a profitable film. Like they put so much in. Like people ain't want to see Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman just play out their marriage on screen. Might want to see that.
Yeah, and you know what, Sam? I think this is entirely appropriate. I didn't even know that, but later on we're going to talk about something playing out on screen. But we'll get to that when we get to it. but it's coming. But yeah, no, those are initial thoughts. I'm not. Look, there's so many things about The Princess Bride. Andre the Giant. I mean, he's passed away. And every time you see it, that's one of the few movies he did. So it's just so many things like The Princess Bride.
They'll just get the Big Show to do it.
Wow.
Who, by the way, has a show on Netflix. How about that?
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, while we're on the subject of reboots, because that seems to be a revolving topic for us lately. The Wonder Years. They're discussing a reboot of the Wonder Years, and instead of a white family, they're doing a black family. And when I saw it, I was like, oh, why are they doing that? But then when I read more into it, so they are doing the same time period, but instead doing the black family's perspective of what it was like to live during that time period. So,
all right. So I immediately already like the idea a lot better than I did when I first thought. Because what I first thought was, okay, here we are in 2020. So maybe they're trying to do something like in the 80s. Whereas obviously the Wonder Years took place in late 80s, early 90s and reverted back to late 60s, right?
They grew up in the 60s.
Right. So yes, if we're talking about going back to the exact same time period, I'm already leaps and bounds ahead of where I was in liking the idea from a black point of view. I am on that.
Which we know will be vastly different.
Absolutely different and worth watching. I'm with it. Because my initial reaction when you brought me this story was the Wonder Years had a feel to it that I don't think you can match that. Because, I mean, the second I think about the Wonder Years, you think about the intro song and all that, and the vintage film and all that stuff. And I didn't want them trying to kind of cheapen that and replicate that with like our Wonder Years, which have been, the 80s and stuff like that. I don't think that would have worked. So
it's going to be on like ABC that. And it's a go.
Good.
So,
Good. Okay. You told me something today. I have now, my probability of watching it has jumped tremendously. Yeah. Just with that new information.
So just to put a little more into it, Lee Daniels will be the executive producer from Empire. Big Bang Theory, one of the writers from Big Bang Theory, Saladin Patterson. And you know how popular that show was.
Absolutely.
And the two people from the original series, co-creator Neil Marlins and Fred Savage is also attached. So,
and Fred Savage, we haven't talked about on the show, has a distinguished career. He's acted in a few movies, but
behind the scenes, he's killing it.
Yes, as a director and as a writer and producer. So with that, it's not just some kind of like sentimental thing, like, oh, let's bring him aboard. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah,
he knows what he's doing.
And so this, even saying all of that, there's been a lot of thought put into this. So it definitely really makes me interested now.
Now I'm feeling real good. Shame, I always told you, and I think this is why I carry more feelings for Black Panther than I even really should. Like, when I first heard about Black Panther, you kind of heard about it in the distance, and you knew he was a Marvel character. But then once they started talking about who was going to be in it, and like Angela Bassett and all these things, like, oh, we got some serious people doing serious things. Okay, I'm going to take this movie a lot more seriously. That's kind of how I feel like that with this.
So it's definitely giving it a little more legitimacy. And this one will take place in Montgomery, Alabama in the 60s.
Okay. Now we done amped this way up.
Yeah.
Because, Montgomery is one of those cities, when you think civil rights, like, that's one of the first cities that pops up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, okay. All right, well, good. Good. Thank you for the education on this. Speaking of Black people, stepping up, stepping in.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
From my alma mater.
Mm-hmm. Look at y'all.
Yeah, I know. Javicia Leslie will be cast as the new Batwoman, and we talked pretty briefly about Batwoman
Well, we spent some time though, because we were trying to like get into it.
We wanted to like it, but we just didn't. I mean, long story short.
Now, speaking of which, can you tell me before you get into it, what happened with the previous one? I tried to read a little bit into it, but I just didn't get.
She left the show.
Okay.
She just didn't want
her choice.
Yeah, she just didn't want to return. She just didn't.
Okay.
And I'm not mad at her. Like, I liked Kate Kane, or the lady who played Kate Kane. Gosh, I can't remember her name. Ruby Rose.
Okay.
I liked Ruby Rose as an actress. I didn't particularly care for her in that role because, as I previously stated, I felt like they were trying to make her into a female Bruce Wayne. Like, she was obviously a female. She was lesbian, and she had all of the Bruce Wayne swag. Like, and it was just like they were trying to make a lady carbon copy of him, and I just didn't like it. And then he's my cousin, so I'm just going to throw on his costume.
We both had a problem with that.
This is crazy. So they're totally going in another direction. And in the vein of reading is fundamental. So when I first saw this article, it was in a HBCU alumni group that I'm in on Facebook.
Okay.
And somebody had posted, "Hey, Hampton alum, is going to be in Batwoman." And what it said in the headline was, bisexual actress Javicia Leslie will be the new Batwoman.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there's this conversation about, well, what does her sexuality have to do with her? And then everybody was just like, well, if you have read the article, you would know why it said that. And then people had to constantly keep saying, because Batwoman is a lesbian. Batwoman is a lesbian. Batwoman, like, so, and then like, I swear there were like about 500 comments under the post. And I want to say 50% of them were, why does that have to do anything? Why does that have to do anything? I think people really just need to, which is what I always say, Google is for everyone. Information is researchable and it's free. And secondly, there's obviously a reason why she wanted to be this was her explaining and putting herself out there, not necessarily the writers of these articles. She wanted it to be known that she is a bisexual actress and that this is a big deal to be able to play this role for her.
That's right. When we was talking about defunding the police, and we were talking about the branding of something and how you got to be careful how you brand it. Well, sometimes no matter what you're doing, I mean, here's this young lady is going out of her way to say, hey, this is why it was important to me to play this character. And instead of paying attention to that, people were saying, why is it important that the character be? And it's like, she's just explained it to you. Not only did she just explain it to you, but she just answered the question you really shouldn't even be asking. She is trying to play a character that shouldn't be defined by their sexuality, even though that's a part of the character, because that's part of her life. And people just like completely missing the forest for the trees when she's sitting there trying to explain. I just can't. If that's our people on that one, correct?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter sometimes who it is. Americans in general, just to your point, don't do a lot of research, don't involve themselves. But good for her. So what is the angle? And again, reading is fundamental for me too, because you did send me the article and I've read it, but what is the angle on her character? Is she going to, she's not playing KK, right? Or is she?
No.
Are they be casting her as, right? That's what I thought.
Basically what they're saying is she has a shady past involving drug running.
Okay.
And they're saying it's like going to be a possible problematic start for her character. But, you know, it creates a good opportunity to talk about systemic racism and the cycle of crime, poverty, and violence. That's a major factor in the Black community with the over policing and disproportionate imprisonment of Black population. So they're really going deep into the character and as to why, to develop who she is. And, you know,
that was a very academic explanation, Sam. Because I was about to go the lazy studio route. Are you prepared for the lazy studio route? Like, I could be a studio exec right now. You ready?
Here we go.
Let's make her one of the Foxes, because they know everything about Batman anyway, and they're Black. So go ahead. She a Fox cousin. She found out the secret. Now she's taking over. Put me in the studio right now and pay me 6 figures. I could do that job, because that's lazy. That's lazy thinking. You just gave the very academic and worthy reason why she should be playing this character. And I was like, who else is Black? Who else is Black? Oh, that's his cousin. Okay. Lucius Fox's niece. Yeah. She knows the secret. She can go to Batcave just like KK. No problem. Boom. But hey, look, in this story it was something it was something worthy, so that I won't feel guilty about taking it with a horrible idea.
Nah,
do we have details on when it starts?
Well, I mean, shoot, do we have any details on when anything starts? I mean, studios ain't opening. True. I mean, like, this fall's like television schedule is going to be horrible. Like, I can promise that it's not going to be good.
Now, here's the good news. And you're more into the schedules, especially network TV, than I am. But I feel like the rules for network TV have kind of changed a little bit. They still have some wiggle room, because, I mean, there's some shows that start like right on time, quote unquote, so to speak, like, September, whatever. But then I feel like other shows, they wait till October to start. So, like, if they can really rush some stuff in the can and get it out, they're good to go.
I mean, yeah. But some shows are taped as mid-season replacements, just in case some shows get canceled within the first 13 episodes or whatever. And then you have some shows that may start later in the year, like October, but then they may not take a as long as a break during like the holiday that the show that started in September did. So you have some of that overlap. So I think just scheduling with programming this year is going to be so difficult.
It will be.
One of the things I was talking about earlier with a coworker about certain shows like Survivor and like The Challenge, which I love to watch, how they're always filmed in these remote locations. And so you would think shows like that would be okay to film as long as they can get clearance to go to these locations, and they can probably kind of keep a handle on the coronavirus in that aspect. But then you got to think of the number of crew members there are.
Yeah, that's right.
Survivor alone, I think, has something like 400 crew members. So something like that wouldn't work with all of those people. So
you're right.
I think more so than that. Yeah.
I think this ain't marriage boot camp where they set up 20 people in the house.
Right. But like the crew. So I mean, it's not even so much the actors, because there's very little of them compared to the number of crew members. So
and I apologize. What I meant was on the island. You got a big island where you got people. You got to have 400 crew to follow them around. Not one house where you have Corrupt and CeeLo and everybody. But anyway,
you hate that.
I'm so mad. I'm so sad. I'm so mad. I'm so sad. One programming though, we had talked about it previously on one of the shows. They did pick up over the last couple of weeks. They confirmed they did pick up Ozark for the last season. I think when I taped, they actually had done it before our last episode, but I didn't confirm. And you and I were talking about how Netflix, a lot of stuff is in flux with them, but they picked it up and they confirmed it's going to be their last season. So they're going to make a super season, like 15 episodes. Normally it's 10, and then they're going to end it, basically. So they did pick that up. They announced that last week and a half. So programming note there. Got some sad news.
Yeah,
Especially
man.
one today, and then one had unfolded over the last week and a
Week.
half. But then we got some
Yeah.
confirmation. Yeah, we got some confirmation today too. Over last week, right? Last
Yeah.
month.
So
So
let's start
yeah.
in order.
Mm-hmm.
Naya Rivera, who last week was out at Lake Piju, I want to say, or Peru.
Yeah.
Peru.
Piru. I think Piru.
Out in
P-R-U.
California.
Mm-hmm.
She rented a boat on the lake with her 4-year-old son, and they went out into the lake and they went swimming. And the rental company was kind of like, where are they? Because it was time for them to bring the boat back, and they went out looking, and they found her 4-year-old son in the boat with his life jacket on, wrapped in a blanket, just kind of taking a nap.
Yeah.
And then when they asked where his mother was, he said that they were swimming and he didn't really know what happened because she didn't get back in the boat, something like that. But he was very calm about it. So they ended up doing a search. They did a search that night or that day. And then after about, I guess, 24 hours, they decided that now it's a recovery mission.
Yeah.
And so if that was last week, they found her body this morning and they were able to confirm that it was her. Now, initially, when I heard this story and I heard like the little details about it, I instantly thought this was a suicide. Really? Only because of how calm the child was and how he was like, oh yeah, we were just swimming and mommy didn't come up. Mm-hmm. After hearing more details today, like he was in a life jacket and he was wrapped in the blanket and, and he was just like sleeping. Then I thought to myself, okay, well, he probably just got tired of swimming and she made sure he was okay and secured him in the boat. And maybe she continued to swim on her own and just kind of got sucked in. But one of the details that not the park ranger, but somebody close to the situation had said that lake is 150 feet deep, which is why initially it had taken them. It was so hard for them to find her. And two, like they don't advise people to swim in that lake because of the conditions. The conditions are very harsh and you have to be like an excellent swimmer to be able to swim in that lake.
Yeah, it was rough. Actually, to sort of feed your point, or whatever thought about the possibility, they pulled up her last tweet. I think it was her last posting on social media, and I think it was just one of those inspirational quotes that a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. But I think the gist of it was tomorrow's not promised. I saw that. I saw that as a story unfolded. This was before they found her today. And so, that's one of those things. It's probably just a horrible coincidence that was what she posted. And it was a larger quote too. It wasn't just that. It was like, make sure you enjoy your family and friends and stuff like that. So it was supposed to be inspirational, but the point being for that to be her last quote is kind of crazy, at least on social media. But it's very sad. And they posted a picture of when they were looking for her father, like,
oh God, yes,
hopped in the lake. Yeah, you saw that. I think you sent that to me, and I saw it from another place too. Yeah, he hopped in there and like looked for her, which of course, that's your daughter. So yeah, it's really sad. I didn't watch Glee. You schooled me to this. Let the family know where you know her from?
Family Matters.
Man, that went right over my head. I didn't even know Richie had a girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, they was like little. I mean, it was but she was real like bougie, and she was kind of like a princess, and she would come in with all the sass, and like, so when I think of Naya Rivera, I instantly think of Family Matters. I never watched Glee, so obviously people younger than me, who are closer to her age, would remember her from Glee because that was a big show. But I didn't watch Glee. I remember her from Family Matters. She was the cute little girl that was Richie's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And her last tweet was actually on my birthday, July 7th. Just a picture of her and her son.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's crazy though. But yeah, so listen, rest in peace to her. Obviously, I saw the son's father has come and obviously taking him, so he's gonna stay with him and he's gonna have a family, and they have recovered her body, so they'll have a service. It's very sad. It looks accidental, like you said, so it just happens. But man, I don't like getting out and swimming unnecessarily in places. So hopefully they can tighten the rules up at that lake. We got another. This one was. I mean, both are surprising, right? But this one it seemed like it came out of nowhere. The other celebrity one you got.
Oh, Kelly Preston, wife of John Travolta. Well, she had breast cancer, so it couldn't have been too sudden. But I don't know if. I guess it's sudden for us because maybe we didn't even know that she was on the decline or if she was sick or what have you. I don't really know many details about it, but when I saw it come across, I was like, oh my God, it's Avery Bishop from my favorite movie, Jerry Maguire. She was Jerry's woman before he went rogue and decided to write the memo. And she kind of left him hanging dry. But
no, she was that, and she was playing a very unlikable character in that movie. But I liked her in other movies though. Kelly Preston, she was very pretty, in my opinion. And her and John Travolta were married a long time.
Oh yeah.
And we, I hate to. I mean, no, I don't, because you got to bring it up because we're talking about lives. I don't know how deep she was into Scientology. I know John Travolta is into Scientology. We talked about Scientology last week when we were talking about the actor who played Hyde and Leah Remini and all that. I think that he has made statements in the past. She's been not as out there with it and not as negatively associated with it. But whenever there's a story out about John Travolta, either it's about like a horrible Gotti movie he made lately, or maybe something with Scientology. Sometimes he's making some good movies. John Travolta's had a very interesting career, but she's been with him the whole time. And you never really hear a story about their marriage being bad or anything like that. It's like Tom Hanks and Rita. I forget the last name, but I guess is it Hanks? But anyway, so John Travolta made a statement. I think, obviously, to your point, she had breast cancer. They had a statement pretty much ready. They were like, look, we're grieving, but then her suffering's over, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, apparently, it was kept under wraps. She was diagnosed 2 years ago. Under wraps. Yeah, and she was at the MD. Okay, she was in Houston at the MD Anderson Cancer Center, which is where a lot of people, if they can afford to, go. But yeah, so they made the statement because they probably saw her in the last few days and probably was kind of preparing for it. That's sad for that family. I mean, they lost their oldest son in 2009. He had a seizure when they were on vacation in Bahamas. He was only like 16, I want to say. But they have a 20-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son. So that's just sad. And also, speaking of Scientology, I did not know that Dougie Fresh was a Scientologist. It just blows my mind. I'm mind blown.
I mean, I didn't know that either until you just said it. Wow. When, did you see that, like, down a rabbit hole of Scientology once you found out this story? Or
no, I was going down a Dougie Fresh rabbit hole because Dougie Fresh to me is like everything. I think he could, he ages so gracefully. He still looks as good as he did back in like 1988. So he had posted a video the other day of, it was like an Essence Festival type video, and he was in his kitchen and he was like rapping and dancing and showing people how to Dougie. It was cool. I had posted it on my page the other day, and I'm watching it like, dang, he could get it. So,
here's a question: could he talk you into Scientology?
Nope, he can't get it no more either. Broke my heart. That's why I brought it up, because it broke my heart. He got dumped before he even got a chance.
Or get in Scientology, start talking to Dougie Fresh, and then be out here like Leah Remini. Like, this is what's wrong with Scientology.
No thanks. And to answer your question about Kelly Preston, she was a devout Scientologist until she died. So there you go.
She was with him. She was with him on it. But again, I think she did not a better job, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't as associated with her as I think. Travolta goes out here and makes statements and stuff. So, but rest in peace to her, and obviously condolences to John Travolta and that family. She was again very pretty, very pretty. I really liked her.
Yeah, I thought she was gorgeous when she was younger. I did.
Yeah. Let's move on to something that we didn't call it happy, but it sure as hell ain't sad.
Oh, this has been like driving entertainment news.
Yeah. Speaking of marriages,
the whole last week, like it started off real like low key, and then it just boomed over the weekend. So we're talking about Will and Jada and August Alsina.
Oh God. The red table. The red table,
which really made it become like a big thing. But it started with an interview that August Alsina had done with Angela Yee, in which she asked, hey, there's some speculation that you had a relationship with Jada. And he basically was like, yeah, I put a lot of years in love into that relationship. And if I die today, I can feel good knowing that I put that much love into something. Like, he was the side chick that told it all.
Correct. He really told.
He really, I mean, he was in love. He broke the cardinal rule. So then, they initially had denied it, basically made him out to be a liar. Or their people, Will and Jada's people.
That's right.
And then all of a sudden, I think it was Friday, maybe Saturday, there was a Red Table Talk, which is Jada Pinkett's show on Facebook, where she generally does interviewing of celebrities and stuff. But it was just her and Will sitting across the table from each other. And he asked her, so what actually happened with you in August? And she said she got into an entanglement. Entanglement has now been the new buzzword for several days now.
So you watched this entire thing, right?
I it was on Twitter. I kind of went down the rabbit hole on the Red Table.
You streamed it, or it was streaming?
Yeah, like it was on my feed. I couldn't get away from it because I didn't know what people were talking about, and I was like, well, I gotta know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I watched it.
No, I'm glad you did, because I need to. There are questions I have. I did not watch it, but I've seen little clips.
So Will and Jada are sitting across from each other. Jada is just sitting there looking all smug and like, I've not been a fan of hers for a very long while, and this didn't help. Like, she literally was just sitting there like Queen of the Mountain. I'm smug. Yeah, this happened. And, and from what I understand, Will and Jada were, I guess, on a break at the time. And he said in his own words, like, there was a point in my life where I thought that I would never talk to you again. I was done with you. I was done. And so what's hard to figure out, though, is there's something else that made him feel that way, where he was like willing to just leave the marriage, or if it was because of this. That part wasn't clear to me.
Okay.
Because it sounds
I have a little nugget at the end.
It sounds like August Alsina was in the picture because here's the thing, Jaden, their son, brought him to the family and was like, hey, this is my friend, blah, blah, blah. He needs blah, blah, blah. I did know in the past that that Will and Jada had funded or helped to fund August Alsina's recovery from his autoimmune disease. He had liver disease. Mm-hmm. I know that they helped him with the medical portion. That was prior news that I knew. But during that time, she said that she felt like kind of alone, and, she wasn't getting the attention she needed, and she wanted to just feel good, and being around August made her feel good. And she felt like being in a position to help him heal just made her feel like important, and this and that. And being with him and helping him heal was like a good part of her growth. as a person. So basically,
Yeah.
she treated him like a blip in the matrix, and this boy was falling madly in love with her. And Will was sitting there looking like, now out of his mouth, he said, now, this is something that we've already worked through. I knew about this. We've worked through it, blah, blah, blah. This is new to the people. But when I tell you I was looking at Will Smith's eyes, this did not seem like something that he had dealt with and worked out and compartmentalized. Like his body language was like he was mad. His fist was balled up on the table. His eyes were red. He looked like he was crying. And I was just like, this is a hot mess.
So have you seen the memes? Have you seen that movie, The Pursuit of Happiness?
I saw that meme.
Yeah, that's a good meme. Where, because he spends like half the movie crying. And yeah, they show that. Look, a couple things. You just laid it out perfectly. Will Smith was not comfortable doing this. Now, he had his reasons for doing it. He and Jada are a business. They both have great careers. Jada has done a good job with this red table. This is just like she funded. Wasn't she not one of the first producers? And forgive me if I get the actual show wrong, but Basketball Housewives or Basketball Wives or something. Wasn't she one of the first producers behind that? Like, no. She knows how to get this reality. Okay, not that one, but I remember her being. Oh no, I'm thinking of Shaquille O'Neal. No, but Jada too.
His other ex-wife was on the VH1 show Hollywood Exes. I don't know about.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's on the show. I'm saying produce. Jada has been a producer of one of those shows. I'm almost positive that she knows her reality show game. I guess is what my ultimate point is. And when this was blowing up, as you were talking about, I do remember seeing on social media even before it streamed, where she was like, "Oh, we need to go ahead and do a red table about this." And I was like, "Okay, so she's setting up. This is like the decision with LeBron. Like, okay, it's gonna be a certain place, certain time. Everybody tune in. We're gonna go ahead and hash this out." Now, Sham, the big divide that we've seen on social media is really a gender divide. Jada is an older woman. August, I've seen is early 20s, right? 21, 2, maybe.
They are 21 years apart.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys are sitting here like, look, let's say Will had done this with some woman, and the situation was reversed. There are a lot of women who are rationalizing what Jada was talking about, and this whole entanglement thing. I mean, you have the proper disdain for the word, but a lot of women are like, oh, everybody needs to lay off Jada. They need to calm down. They do need to calm down. It is nobody's business. I agree with that. But I think morally, when women go out here and talk about what guys do, she took advantage of this dude for like it was a young dude who she was attracted to, and she wanted to have sex with him, and she did. When guys do that, we're called predators. I mean, now I'm not saying like predators like molesters. No, he is grown. But the point is, it's a negative connotation to it. And I think a lot of guys were sitting there like, she's sitting there rationalizing this. And Will, to your point, was like, don't call it entanglement and all that. Call it what it is. I mean, you stepped out. Now, she was doing the Ross, like we're on a break.
Right. And the other part that I didn't say was that August was like, yeah, he basically told Yee that Will gave them permission. No, he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't look like a guy who would give him permission.
No, he didn't. Jada said that he misconstrued it as permission because she and Will were separated amicably, but Will never gave her like the green light to be with him.
So actually, okay. So then who does that make look bad or worse? Because maybe he thought he had permission because Jada told him he had permission from Will.
Exactly. I guess that's my point, because Will didn't look like nobody who gave anybody permission to do anything.
Now, the part that I did see, the clip I kept seeing was when he was like, "I'm gonna get you back," and she was like, "You've gotten me back."
And so the rumor
yeah.
is that he and Margot Robbie.
That was the nugget. So you have it. So yeah exactly. Keep going.
So that she was the get back. So
yeah, and we've talked about Margot Robbie, in different contexts, but we've talked about her with Suicide Squad, and we talked about her and Jared Leto. But the point being, they had done Focus. Will Smith and Margot Robbie had done Focus before Suicide Squad, and then when they got on Suicide Squad, the rumor was that they were sleeping together. And as it ties into the bigger story, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people speculated that Will Smith is not in the Suicide Squad sequel, which is very much off the ground and is going to go whenever stuff goes again. But the point is, they try to bring in Babe in the studio, try to bring in Idris Elba. They are going to bring him into the movie, but then at the last minute, they decided to bring him into a different character and leave the character of Deadshot open for Will Smith to come back in. And there's still speculation on why exactly Will Smith did not come back in for Suicide Squad sequel, because even though Suicide Squad got pandered, it made a lot of money and it was successful. So there was not really a legitimate reason why he shouldn't make the movie. It didn't interfere with anything else he was doing. So that is the big story. So yeah, well, I mean, look, this has gotten. So what are your thoughts on just the interest people have taken in this?
I don't have an issue with the interest. I mean, this is what entertainment. This is what celebrities are. This is our entertainment. This is pop culture. This is what we thrive off of. These, But for so long, Will and Jada's relationship has been touted as "quote unquote" relationship goals. So when the goal relationship falls apart like this, of course people are going to be interested. And we are only allowed to be as interested as they allow us to be. Let's be fair. You know what I'm saying? If it's not all out there for us to kind of feed off of and internalize, then we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the people who are like, all y'all need to get out of Will and Jada's business, which, look, me personally, I didn't really care about that. I care more about the reactions to it because I thought it was very interesting. But get out of their business. They made a point to schedule their business being streamed. Like this isn't like, hitting camera into their life. This is, okay, we got this issue. Now, granted, I understand why they did it because you got third party out here running his mouth. But the point being, you could put out a statement. You can handle this a whole bunch of ways. You want people to watch this. Jada, you make money off this show. Like, this is eventually all going, the attention gets back to you. So, it's burned hot over this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jada Pinkett Smith has another project coming out soon. And she ties into that.
I mean,
would you?
Ain't like she been project heavy, so maybe.
Right. Last time I saw her was in Gotham.
No, she's filming. She's filming The Matrix 4, so there you have it.
That's right. We ain't even talked about that, and I'm not gonna. That'll be another reboot that will pay, or not a reboot, whatever, at another time.
Right. So
we done with the entertainment.
Yeah, we done with them. You ready to get into some sports?
Always. Let's get into some sports. Some good stuff in sports. Big week in sports coming up. What we got?
Ladies first. So this was announced over the weekend. Kara Lawson, former University of Tennessee point guard and analyst for the NBA and WNBA, and also WNBA point guard, was hired as the head coach for Duke University women's team.
Like it.
I like it too.
I have a quick thought.
Okay, what's your quick thought?
My quick thought. She was an analyst for the Wizards. She was very good at that. She took over for Phil Chenier.
Thank God.
And okay. I'll still make it quick, but we'll put a pin in that. just know that would not have been as quick if we have something to get into. That was a shot at my man. But yeah, but good for her. She was very good. All right, that's my quick thought.
Yeah, I think she's very good. She's very knowledgeable. She's a student of the game. She was an excellent point guard. So I think that I'm hoping that this will be a great hire for Duke University women's basketball team. Their basketball team has been kind of middle of the road, subpar, below Duke standards since Lindsey Harden's missed free throw in the in the NCAA tournament, along with Gail Gestencourt's exit from Duke and her going to Texas. So they haven't been able to really fill Gail Gestencourt's shoes and get the kind of success that they had. So maybe this is a step in the positive direction. So I'm hoping for it.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of WNBA, so you were chomping at the bit of this story. Kelly Loeffler.
I mean, but it was only a tidbit of the story. I mean, you have the significant meat of the story. We're talking about the same party, though. So I'll put it this way: the subject of this story should have been in jail before the story even came out, and then we wouldn't even have this problem for another reason. And now you lay out the story and its importance as it pertains to what we're talking about right now. Go. Please.
You say a lot of words. WNBA players are calling for U.S. Senator Kelly Loeffler to cut all ties with the league after she's co-owner of the Atlanta Dream. She was critical of the league's support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Yo, first of all, your league is what? What would you say a number and percentage of Black people in the league in the WNBA?
80, right? Probably same as the male counterpart. Yeah, like, right. Let's make it let's conservatively say 80, 75.
Like, you are literally co-owner of a team. You are a part of the Black Lives Matter movement just by the fact that you own a team.
Yeah. You put a lot of money in the Black pockets who go out there and support Black causes, whether you like it or not.
So the WNBA and the NBA, which I learned today, are allowing the players to put different like names or phrases on the jerseys. So, but they had warm-up shirts that said Black Lives Matter on the front and say her name on the back. But she said that this political agenda undermines the potential of the sport and sends a message of exclusion. By saying that Black Lives Matter.
This is a world that Ms. Loeffler lives in. Look, I wanted Sham to get the story out first because my steam for it is this. Kelly Loeffler should be in jail. Kelly Loeffler is a senator who is married to a head of a pharmaceutical company. And when Sham sent me this story, I had no idea that she was a co-owner of the Dream. I had no idea of this. So she sent me the story and it was a link and it had a picture. I was like, where have I seen that woman before? And then it said Senator something. And I'm like, Senator, I know I've seen that woman before because I know there's a political story that fell through the cracks that I didn't get on the podcast. Kelly Loeffler's husband definitely owns some stock in a pharmaceutical company because he's the CEO. And they dumped a bunch of stock in advance of everyone shutting down for the pandemic because they wanted people working for medicine, what have you. And they used insider trading to make money. That's the point. Right before the pandemic hit. And she got investigated for this. The article that Sham sent me showed me that she was cleared. Because I was like, oh, last time I was checking, they were looking into this. She should be in jail. The article that I saw, like, she basically did a Martha Stewart to the fifth power. Like, she had insider knowledge that the pandemic was hitting and that all these stocks would go down for medicine or what have you. So she did this big, massive sale and made a bunch of money before that. And she's a senator. She should go to jail for that. So when I saw this, I'm like, they should have kicked off the league before this, and she should be in somebody's jail for insider trading.
They need to force her to sell. And my thought is the only reason why they wouldn't is because it's hard enough to keep WNBA teams afloat, and they probably are trying to wait until they can find someone who can buy into the team. I mean, regardless, like, look, let the league run it and get her out of there. And the WNBA Players Association ain't playing. No, they are coming at her hard.
Somebody said it best. I forget. It was a big, like a big name player. It was like, I played on the Atlanta Dream for 2 years. I've never even seen this woman in person. And she's a part owner of the team. She's never invited me to her house. And she's going to jump out here and talk about we can't wear Black Lives Matter. Like, I don't want to play for her.
Mm-hmm. Candace Parker went at her hard. Cheryl Swoops. One of the inaugural players. Candace, we agree she's very attractive. Cheryl Swoops, who was an inaugural player, like a charter member of the WNBA, came at her really hard. So I don't know what they're gonna do, but they need to listen to their players and get this woman out of there.
Yeah, and then after they get her out of there, maybe on another political segment, we can talk about how she's going to jail. I mean, nobody goes to jail. Listen, no Republican goes to jail anymore for doing anything wrong. So I don't know what I'm talking about there. But at least we can have the threat of her going to jail. Maybe. I don't know. I got too much smoke for her. Next story. I'm disgusted. All right. So the other sports. So look, I didn't even include this in the outline. Hockey. Sham. Hockey went from we're not doing anything at all
to starting on August 1st.
Right. Starting on August 1st. And Sham, I'm not going to lie. I kind of like what they're doing. They have two bubbles. They have an Eastern Conference bubble and a Western Conference bubble. And they're both in Canada. Now, granted, it's because it's hockey. They can do that in terms of the Canada part. But I like the two bubbles. Gary Bettman, the commissioner of the NHL, was on CNN earlier, and he was explaining it. Now, hockey's a contact sport. It's a terrible idea that it's getting kicked off in August. It'd be like football getting kicked off in August, which we'll talk about. But, at least the two bubbles, they're trying to separate the teams that operate. Like, look, let's just play conference games and get this figured out. So that's hockey. MLB and NBA are still on schedule, but there's a lot of problems happening. Have you seen the MLB problems? We'll get to NBA. Have you seen the MLB problems?
So the Yankees are out of it, right?
I didn't see that they were out of it, but I know a lot of players have tested positive.
They need to be out of it.
Yeah, I mean, look, that opening night is still Yankees Nationals. At least from what I see.
If I'm the Nationals, I'm like, yo, y'all need to forfeit.
I mean, if Max Scherzer run his mouth like he been running his mouth, we're going to be out of it. Because he the impromptu head of the Players Association. Why would he agree to that? But it's a lot of players getting infected in both leagues, NBA and MLB. Both are reporting for camp or spring training, whatever you want to call it, and they're getting tested. And a lot of people dropping out. Sham, to your point, a lot of Yankees have tested positive. I haven't gotten a big name yet. It's not like Judge. I haven't heard like somebody like him, but a lot of kind of ancillary players are testing.
But not in the NBA.
Just with them. Yeah.
The biggest star yet.
Yeah.
He's the biggest star so far to have contracted the coronavirus, Russell Westbrook. And today when I saw that, the first thing I said was, there goes the season.
Yeah. Russ is huge, man. That's a former MVP.
Right, but Tony Kornheiser said today on PTI, welcome back. Thank you for coming back, PTI. And it's
and I didn't watch it today.
in its full capacity. He said, kind of what I said, but then he was like, actually the season won't be over until LeBron gets it. If LeBron gets coronavirus, then they're going to cancel the season. But I don't think he will get it. But, he's basically like, yeah, Russ is a big star, but they're going to cancel it if LeBron ends up with it.
I can see, I don't know if it got to get all the way to LeBron. I can see, like, if Kawhi gets it, I can see that. And I shouldn't say I could see him getting it, but I could certainly see him saying, I got it and I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I can see that. But I see what Kornheiser is saying, though. Now, look, when they showed up for the bubble, Russ wasn't there, I guess, to get this test. Harden wasn't there either, but there's no news whether he got the test or not.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like Russ got the test before.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, so this is huge. Guys are going to drop out. Look, the product will be bad. I know I've been on the show talking about I want the NBA to play. Not under these conditions. If the guys are bad.
That's ultimately the reason why I just think they should just call it a season. Because I feel like at this point, people are just playing for playing's sake. And the product's going to suck. It's just to appease folks. It's to appease fans, appease advertisers, sponsors, what have you. But what's the point of doing all that if the product's going to be horrible?
Yeah, I agree. Sham, I forgot to put the story in here, but
about the kid. You ain't had to put it in. I was about to bring it up.
Oh, do it.
That joint is crazy. I don't even remember the kid name, but he played for the Sacramento Kings.
Either. Yeah, and he's a center.
He done got quarantined out of the bubble just because he had one job. All you had to do was stay in the bubble. Simple rules. Stay in the bubble. Nah, you out here going to get takeout. And guess what? Somebody caught your ass, somebody snitched. And guess what? Now you want to go out the bubble? You stay out the bubble. We ain't got time for you.
They quarantined my man out of the bubble. He got caught. He got caught trying to get a takeout. Like he just wanted some Chinese or whatever. And they were like, look, oh, okay. From what I understand, he's quarantined for 10 days. Like automatic. He's away from the team. But I mean, he's going to be blackballed. And even with Russ, to get back to it, even with Russ.
Rashawn Holmes, that's his name.
That's his name, yeah. Russ said, look, I'm going to be... Russ made it sound like he's still going to go down there. And he's basically like, look, I'm going to be away from my team for like 2 weeks, but I look forward to coming back. That's what he said.
When he's cleared.
When he's cleared. So, I mean, the whole tournament, if you want to call it that, is 6 to 7 weeks. So theoretically, if Houston can stay above water, if Harden's still involved, then they'll be able to still compete. Yeah, I think Harden's up to something. I don't like that he didn't show up. Like say they got something cooking up right now. Yeah.
James Harden out here tripping.
Yeah, he can't be trusted. He can't be trusted. Unsupervised out here. So I'm keeping my eye on that situation. But in all
seriousness, hold up.
What?
Why say this can't be real? Russell Westbrook and James Harden test positive for COVID-19? No, he didn't.
See, that's what I'm saying. They were saying that they didn't show up to the team activity, and then at first nobody knew why. They both were gone, and then Russ confirmed that he tested positive, and then Tony couldn't. He was just like, we want them both back. They had to both. He said they both had to take care of something. That basically is what he said. So we don't know. So that could be Harden saying it too.
Yeah, but this is not. I don't know this source. This source is from like.
It's not credible.
It's from Arizona, Australia.
Okay.
It's
they do get the news cycle a little bit earlier than us. Yeah.
I know.
I treat it like it's Superman too. Like, even though, like, I feel like time actually does start there. So something that's going to happen like 6 hours from now, they already know about it. That's how the world turns around, guys. But anyway.
It says, according to Elite Media Group, the Rockets duo have reportedly tested positive for coronavirus just days before their team was due to fly out. Further reports suggest Harden's positive test occurred during the days leading up to his travel.
All-Star breaking news.
It's a tweet at 7:00 tonight. All-Star guard James Harden has tested positive for the coronavirus. Sources tell Elite.
All right. Well, there you go. Now we might have to go ahead and start thinking about canceling stuff. Because 2 weeks without them, Houston's out of the picture. Period.
Yeah, I don't see it anywhere else, though. That's the only source that I see. So it's interesting.
It's 6 hours ahead, like I said. However many hours. So that is where we are with those sports. They are still chugging ahead, though, Sham. Matter of fact, by all accounts, our next episode may be... do you want to do a coronavirus preview of the NBA?
Yeah.
Or MLB? No good?
No.
Yeah, it'd be pretty difficult, right? What are we going to do about the NFL preview?
I mean, in the event that there is an NFL, we will have to do one.
Yeah. It sounds like we'll make that decision like in 2 seconds because that's how quickly decisions are being made. Now, on to the NFL. We'll wrap things up. Last time we taped, we were on the cusp of the Redskins here in DC changing their team name. We both saw that there was significant pressure. Even I will say, I definitely didn't think it would happen this quickly. I thought that the pressure was significant, but I think we're both surprised at how quickly this is cascaded. So since last time we taped 2 weeks ago, not only has Dan Snyder come out with now 2 statements saying that the first statement was that the name was under review. That was on July the 3rd. And then the second statement came out today, the 13th, saying that the review is complete in the sense that they know they're going to, quote unquote, retire the name, which is today. So the Washington Redskins will no longer be the Washington Redskins as of today, but they haven't actually officially picked the team name yet. So what are your thoughts on this story?
I think Dan Snyder done shut my ass up because I had said that I don't think he would ever relent and let this happen, but the pressure got to him. Money talks.
Yeah, I think he got shut the hell up himself. FedEx, it's called FedEx Field. We thought that was just, I know I did. I thought that was just a kind of a branding thing. The FedEx
minority ownership
stake. Yeah, they have ownership stake.
And Nike pulled out. We talked about that.
Yep, Nike pulled out.
Other advertisers
Amazon pulled
out. Yep.
Yeah. People stopped putting them on their website and stuff, so you couldn't sell any gear, you couldn't make any moves. The NFL, he's been pretending he's working with the NFL for a couple weeks. Not really.
Ron Rivera's doing all the work.
Yeah. Now Ron Rivera kind of got on. It was a little tweak, but in his first little statement, he was like, "We want to make sure we have a name that honors the tradition of Washington and the military." Okay,
the Washington Generals.
I like the Generals. A lot of people don't. I do. Ron Rivera, we know you signed up for the military. He is not for kneeling. So that's, I think, where he was coming from. He wanted to make sure that, yeah, exactly. But I like the Generals. Now, the Red Tails has been thrown out. Kind of a, homage to the Tuskegee Airmen, 2 of which are from D.C. So that's a connection here. 2 of which the first unit of like maybe a handful of people, the first official unit, were from DC. So people think that's a logical thing. You said what?
That's too black. No one's going to go for it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, white people are going to run around with the red. But you know what? We may stand corrected in a couple of days, so I'm gonna couch
We
that.
may get thrown a bone considering what we're in the climate.
Yeah,
They may let us have this one.
Yeah, and plus, to your point, like let's shut this up. Maybe this will be the final thing to shut this down.
Let's get all we can get while the white guilt's still fresh.
Right. And white people like, then I can have some GOYA, then I can do all this stuff, and then leave me the hell alone. And I can get back to utopian America. But yeah, so we expect. Here's the thing: it takes a while to change the name, Shan. In the NFL, camp ostensibly starts in 2 weeks. You got to change all the branding, all the internet, everything before that time.
That can happen.
Yeah, it can. And then that's what I said. And then everything else is vintage. If you got some Redskins in your home, I mean, that's just vintage. So what?
Yeah, sell on eBay.
Yeah.
Hey, they can get their graphic designer on it and just start printing shit very quickly. Like, as quickly as they do the freaking stuff for the playoffs, like the Super Bowl champs and all that stuff, how they be quickly printing all that stuff, they good.
That's true.
They good.
Or either, like you said, for the Super Bowl, print out 2 different shirts.
Mm-hmm. But they be ready in a week.
Yep. And then ship the other shirt to poor country.
Shoot, they be having hats, freaking T-shirts, everything. Shoot.
There's a poor country right now that's waiting for Redskins gear to clothe the naked.
There's a poor country right now that thinks Atlanta won that Super Bowl that they lost to the Patriots.
Correct. Yeah, third quarter, 28-3. They looking good. Oh man, I don't got nothing else on that note.
Oh man, yeah, but yeah, it's happening. I'm shocked. Hey, did we ever mention that Cam Newton is now with the Patriots?
No, we did not. And we speculated on where he would go, and I don't think either one of us said that.
I thought I did. I didn't.
You were saying we don't even know if there's going to be a season, but it's possible he may not want to be on the market, and he might be somebody's backup. And I was saying I think that would be a travesty.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't say that Billy.
I'm not going to say he was on the Patriots. Yeah,
I didn't say that Billy B loves the project and he'll probably pick him up. Maybe I didn't say it on the show.
That sounds like something to say.
It does sound like something I would say. But yeah, that was news last week, since the last time.
And you know what he said, Shan, right before the show, and I mean right before the show, like I saw a couple cars on my screen. He said, I felt like I was left out there to die. Which, you know.
Here we go with the rights.
Cam Newton. Like, why?
Why the hyperbole, though? It's so much hyperbole going on. Not just him, with the stifling my free speech, and I felt I was out there to die. Like, come on, people.
Yeah, like Cam, you are a free agent for the NFL quarterback market. Like, that's
a very rich one at that.
right.
You were furloughed, but still getting checks.
Exactly. Like, you were number 1 draft pick. 10 years ago, whatever. You weren't left out anywhere to die anywhere. Stop. There are people dying right now, jobless. You were jobless technically, but like, that's it. Stop.
Yeah, stop playing.
Stop playing. How we feel about 72? Is there any 72? No 72 numbers. You know, as we get higher in the numbers, jerseys, unless we're talking about linemen, are less and less likely, right?
Yeah. Last episode was the false start Peters episode, and I didn't even say anything.
Oh wow. Is he still on the team?
Nah.
Where's Justin him? We'll talk about it.
He's free agent.
Oh, you have to cut him? Wow.
No, we didn't cut him. We just didn't re-sign him.
Okay. Nah. Well, 72. Man, we well past retirement age.
Yeah, that was 65 and a half. So I don't know.
Oh man, it's 62 now, Sam. You need to catch up.
Well, that's good too.
Yeah.
Well, they said I still can't touch my IRA till 65 and a half. So what the hell?
Oh yeah, no, they keep it. Yeah.
It's the Richard Nixon episode.
My God. Anyway.
1972. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening to the Stop Playing Podcast with Sham and Shaka. As always, you can catch us on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Most recently, we've been added to Pocket Cast. So if you have Pocket Cast or you know anybody with Pocket Cast, let them know we're on there. You can also catch us on Facebook and Instagram at the Stop Playing Podcast and on Twitter at stop_playing pod. If you would like to send us an email, you can email us at info@stopplayingpodcast.com and we will check you out. As always, keep your chips on the plate. No double dipping unless it's the podcast. And we will talk to you again real soon.
Stop playing.